Welcome to this lesson, my friend. Today, we are going to talk about something very important if you want to become fluent and confident in English. The secret is not only learning new words, not only memorizing grammar rules, not only practicing with books, but learning how to speak English naturally. When you hear a native speaker, the way they talk sounds smooth, easy, and full of life. They are not just translating from their own language. They are not just reading a dictionary in their head. They are speaking with flow, with rhythm, with natural patterns that make their English sound alive. That is what I want to help you achieve today. Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried to speak English and felt that the words came out slowly, almost like a broken machine? Maybe you knew the vocabulary, maybe you knew the grammar, but when it was time to open your mouth, the words felt heavy. You translated word by word. You were careful about mistakes. You paused too much. And in the end, you felt like your English was not natural. If that has happened to you, don't worry. You are not alone. Almost every English learner has felt the same. But here's the good news. Speaking naturally is not magic. It is a skill you can train step by step. Think about how you speak your own language. Do you stop to think about grammar rules? Do you translate in your head before you talk? Of course not. You just speak. The words flow because you have repeated them for years, because you have heard them thousands of times, because they are connected to feelings, stories, and experiences in your life. The same thing can happen in English. You can reach a point where English flows naturally from your mouth without pressure, without fear, without too much thinking. That is the goal we are working toward. To speak naturally, you need three things. First, you need listening. Listening is like food for your brain. The more natural English you listen to, the more your brain gets used to the sounds, the rhythm, the intonation. Second, you need speaking practice, but not the kind where you just repeat words from a textbook. You need to practice speaking in a way that is close to real life, with real expressions, with real speed, with real situations. Third, you need confidence, the courage to open your mouth and speak even if you make mistakes, even if your English is not perfect. Confidence is the bridge between knowing and speaking. Without confidence, you stay silent. With confidence, your English grows naturally. So let us begin by thinking about listening. Many learners make the mistake of only listening to slow English or school-style English. Of course, slow English is useful at the beginning, but if you want to sound natural, you must also listen to natural English. That means listening to conversations, movies, podcasts, YouTube videos, stories, songs, and real voices. At first, it will feel too fast. You will not understand every word. But don't worry, your brain is smarter than you think. When you listen again and again, your brain starts to catch the patterns. You begin to notice common phrases, common sounds, and the way native speakers connect words. Slowly, you stop hearing separate words and start hearing full sentences, full expressions. That is when your English begins to sound more natural. For example, in a textbook, you may read the sentence, "I am going to the store." A native speaker, however, might say it quickly as, "I'm going to the store," or even, "I'm going to go to the store." If you only learn from books, you will not recognize this natural form. But if you listen to real English, your ears will catch it. And later, when you speak, your mouth will copy it naturally. This is why listening is not just about understanding. Listening is about training your mouth, training your rhythm, and training your instinct. Now let's talk about speaking. Many learners think speaking means memorizing long lists of difficult vocabulary. They try to use complicated words to sound smart. But here is the truth. Natural English is usually simple. Native speakers use simple, clear, short words in daily conversation. They don't say, commence the procedure of nourishment. They simply say, let's eat. They don't say, I desire to acquire hydration. They just say, I want some water. Natural English is not about showing off. It is about communication. If you want to sound natural, learn to use simple words smoothly instead of forcing big words slowly. One powerful method is shadowing. Shadowing means listening to a native speaker and repeating immediately after them, almost like an echo. You don't wait. You don't translate. You just copy the sound and rhythm. It feels like singing along with music. At first, it will be hard. You will miss words. You will feel your tongue struggle. But if you practice every day, your mouth learns. Your brain gets faster. And suddenly, you notice that your English starts to sound like the English you hear. That is the magic of shadowing. Another method is self-talk. This means speaking English to yourself. Yes, it may sound strange, but it works. Talk to yourself about your day. Describe what you are doing. Pretend you are explaining something to a friend. For example, if you are cooking, say in English, I'm cutting the vegetables. I'm frying the onions. I need some salt. If you are walking outside, say, the weather is nice today. The sky is blue. I see children playing. By doing this, you are training your brain to connect English directly with life, not just with a classroom. Over time, this habit will make your English more natural because it will come from real moments, not from translation. Confidence is the last piece and maybe the most important. Many learners know English but do not speak because they are afraid of mistakes. They wait until their English is perfect. But perfection never comes. If you wait for perfection, you will wait forever. The secret to speaking naturally is to speak now, even with mistakes. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. Mistakes are signs of growth. Every mistake teaches your brain. Every mistake is a step toward fluency. Think about how children learn their first language. Do they speak perfectly from the beginning? No. They make thousands of mistakes. They mix up words. They forget grammar. But their parents still understand. They keep talking. And slowly, they become fluent. You can do the same in English. Speak with courage. Make mistakes. Learn from them. That is how your English will become natural. Let me share a small exercise you can try today. Take a short video clip, maybe 30 seconds of a native English conversation. Listen to it 3 times. Then, without looking at the script, try to repeat what you heard. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Just try to copy the flow. Then, listen again and repeat again. Do this 5 times. This simple practice will train your ears, your mouth, and your memory at the same time. It is one of the fastest ways to sound more natural. Now let's talk about rhythm. English is a language of rhythm. Native speakers do not speak every word with equal stress. Some words are strong, some words are weak. For example, in the sentence, I want to go to the park, the words want and park are strong. The words to are weak. So a native speaker says, I want to go to the park. If you speak every word with equal stress, your English will sound unnatural. like a robot. But if you learn to use rhythm, your English will flow. The best way to practice rhythm is by listening and repeating. Music can also help because English songs are full of rhythm. Sing along with songs. Copy the beat. Let the rhythm enter your voice. Soon, your English will feel more alive. Another secret is learning phrases instead of single words. When you learn a new word, don't just memorize it alone. Learn it inside a phrase. For example, don't just learn the word decision. Learn the phrase make a decision. Don't just learn the word interested. Learn the phrase interested in something. Why? Because native speakers always use words in groups, not alone. If you learn phrases, your brain can produce English faster and your speech will sound natural. Also, remember to connect English with emotions. Language is not only about rules. It is about feelings. When you learn a phrase, try to imagine a real situation with it. For example, the phrase, "I'm so tired," will feel stronger if you imagine yourself coming home after a long day. The phrase, "That's amazing," will feel real if you imagine seeing something beautiful. When words connect with emotions, your memory becomes stronger and your English becomes more natural. You might also notice that native speakers often use fillers like, you know, like, or, I mean. These little words are not always necessary, but they make speech sound natural. You don't need to use them too much, but learning a few fillers can help your English sound less robotic. For example, if you need a moment to think, you can say, "Well, let me see," instead of staying silent. When you practice speaking naturally, don't focus only on speed. Speed will come with time. Focus first on clarity and flow. Speak clearly, but don't stop too much. Use your hands, your face, your body. Natural speaking is not only about words. It is about communication with your whole self. Watch how native speakers use body language when they talk. Try to copy that. It will give your English more life. Another tip is to read aloud. Take a short text or a story and read it aloud every day. But don't just read like a book. Read with feeling, with intonation, with expression. Pretend you are an actor. Feel the words. When you practice reading aloud like this, you are training your mouth muscles, your pronunciation, and your rhythm. Over time, your natural speaking ability will grow. Finally, remember that speaking naturally takes time. It is not something you achieve in one day or one week. But every small step brings you closer. Every time you listen, every time you repeat, every time you speak, you are building the path toward natural English. Speaking English naturally also means learning to relax while you speak. Many learners tense up when they try to speak in English. Their shoulders become tight, their voice becomes smaller, and they worry too much about mistakes. But natural English comes when your body is relaxed, when you allow your voice to flow without fear. Imagine you are speaking to a close friend. You don't worry about every little word. You just talk. That is the same feeling you need in English. One way to practice this is to breathe deeply before speaking. Take a slow breath in, release the tension, and then speak. This small habit can make your English sound more natural and confident. Another way to become natural is to copy real conversations. Movies and TV shows are a great source for this. Choose a short scene, listen carefully, and then act it out. Repeat the same lines with the same emotion, the same rhythm, the same gestures. Don't worry if you don't sound exactly like the actor. What matters is that you are practicing natural patterns. If you do this often, you will notice that your speaking style starts to feel smoother, like the characters you admire. You should also pay attention to connected speech. Native speakers don't always pronounce every word clearly. They connect words together. For example, instead of saying, "What are you doing?" slowly and carefully, they say, "What you doing?" Instead of "I want to eat," they say, "I want to eat." These connections are not mistakes. They are natural shortcuts in English. If you learn them, your listening will improve and your speaking will sound less mechanical. But remember, speaking naturally does not mean speaking carelessly. You still need to be clear. The goal is not to copy slang or speak too fast. The goal is to find a balance, clear enough to be understood but relaxed enough to sound real. Think of it like music. If music is too slow, it sounds boring. If it is too fast, it sounds messy. Natural English has a rhythm that is just right. Now let's talk about practice with other people. Many learners study alone for years and feel shy when they finally meet someone to practice with. But natural speaking grows faster when you talk to real people. You don't need native speakers only. You can practice with other learners too. The point is not perfection. The point is interaction. Every conversation gives you practice in listening, responding, and finding words quickly. Over time, this gives you confidence. If you don't have someone to practice with, use technology. There are apps, websites, and groups where people all over the world practice English together. You can even record yourself speaking and listen later. This may feel strange at first, but it helps you notice how you sound. You may realize that your pronunciation is better than you thought, or maybe you find areas to improve. Either way, you are learning. When you practice, try to ask more questions. Natural English is not just about giving answers. It is about keeping the conversation alive. Simple questions like, "Really? Why do you think so?" Or, "Can you tell me more?" show interest and keep the talk flowing. These small phrases make your English feel alive and connected. One important thing to remember is that natural English does not mean using difficult grammar. Many fluent speakers use very simple grammar most of the time. For example, they often use the present tense and past tense more than complex structures. They prefer short, direct sentences. If you try to use too much grammar, your speaking may become slow and unnatural. So keep it simple. Clear and simple English is better than complicated English that feels heavy. Natural speaking also grows with storytelling. Humans love stories. When you tell a story, your English becomes more alive. Practice telling short stories about your own life. For example, talk about something funny that happened yesterday, or describe your last trip, or share a memory from school. When you tell stories, you use natural words, natural rhythm, and you connect with your listener. This practice will make your English not only natural but also interesting. Don't forget pronunciation. Natural speaking does not mean perfect accent. You don't need to sound like an American or British speaker, but you should aim for clear pronunciation. Focus on sounds that are difficult in English. Practice them slowly, then faster. Use tongue twisters. Record yourself. Over time, your pronunciation will improve and people will understand you easily. Natural English is about being understood, not about sounding perfect. Another useful tip is to think in English as much as possible. The more you think in English, the less you will translate in your head. Translating makes your speech slow and unnatural. Thinking directly in English makes your speech faster and smoother. Start with small steps. Think about your morning routine in English. Think about what you see around you. slowly. Your mind will get used to English as a natural language for your thoughts. It is also helpful to create daily routines in English. For example, listen to a podcast every morning while eating breakfast. Read a short article before bed. Speak for 5 minutes with yourself in the mirror. These small routines, when repeated every day, build natural English habits. The secret is consistency. 10 minutes every day is more powerful than 1 hour once a week. Many learners feel nervous about speaking with native speakers. But remember this, most native speakers are patient and happy. When someone tries to speak their language, they don't expect you to be perfect, they just want to understand you. So instead of worrying about mistakes, focus on communication. If you forget a word, explain it with other words. If you use the wrong grammar, keep going. The more you speak, the more natural you become. Natural English also comes from enjoying the language. If you only study English like a school subject, it will feel boring. But if you watch movies, listen to music, read stories, play games, and use English in fun ways, you will learn faster. Enjoyment makes learning easier. When you enjoy English, your motivation stays strong, and your practice feels natural. Let me remind you, speaking naturally is not about speaking fast. Many learners believe fast English is fluent in English. That is not true. Some of the best speakers are not the fastest, but the clearest. Speaking too fast without control can sound unnatural. Instead, focus on speaking with a smooth flow, with the right pauses, with clear words. That is real fluency. Over time, you will notice that natural English comes in layers. First, you learn simple phrases. Then you learn rhythm and connection. Then, you learn to express emotions. Finally, you learn to adapt your English to different situations. Formal with a teacher, casual with friends, polite with strangers. This flexibility is the sign of true natural speaking. And always remember, mistakes are part of the journey. Every time you make a mistake, you are learning something. Every time you speak, even if it feels imperfect, you are moving closer to fluency. The only way to fail is to stay silent. So keep speaking, keep practicing, and keep enjoying the process. If you follow these ideas, listening daily, shadowing, self-talk, storytelling, rhythm practice, and confident speaking, you will notice changes. Your English will feel lighter. Your sentences will flow faster. Your voice will sound stronger. And one day you will realize that you are not just learning English anymore, you are living it. That is when your English becomes truly natural. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Learning Studio Zone.